deck, and I believe it's another 2 stories above that. The gold called Eureka Tower because of the great Eureka goldfields, where they had miners back in the 1800s. The goldfields miners revolted because the government was raising the price of licenses, and so the miners revolted. There was great bloodshed. So that tower, Eureka Tower, the gold represents the gold in the goldfields, and there's one stripe of red that you can see on that building. You think, what's that one stripe of red? Is to represent the blood that was shed at the Eureka goldfields during that great fight. Over to your right-hand side, you'll see
so what was the result?
The result was that the mining license prices came down. Over to your right-hand side, but it was kind of the first civil disobedience kind of protest that Australia ever really experienced, and so it went down in their history. So over to your front right, as we go past these trees, you see all these people. All these people are because the marathon's in town, and they're parking in areas and walking into the city. But you're going to see some of the sporting precinct, and the sporting precinct. It really began in the 1800s with one stadium in particular called the MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground. The Melbourne Cricket Ground can hold up to 90,000 people it's the largest stadium in Australia. It can hold up to 90,000 people for a sporting match. The largest crowd the MCG ever held was 150,000. It was for a Billy Graham crusade that was here back in the late 80s, I believe it was. The MCG was built in the 1800s, but it's been rebuilt and added on to, and it is still a very, very important stadium. So you may see the lighting towers just over to your right-hand side. There you go. That's the MCG. The MCG was also used as part of the 1956 Summer Olympic Games. Melbourne hosted the Summer Olympic Games in 1956. So Sydney, of course, was the year 2000, but in 1956, Melbourne held the Summer Olympics. And so that was part of the Olympic venue. But it predates the 1956 Summer Olympic Games. So that's and over in that area, I'm not sure if we may get a glimpse of it from a distance, but it's also where you find the Hisense Arena and also the Rod Laver Arena. Of course, every year in January, the Australian Open. They call that locally the Australian Oven, because when the Australian Open tennis match takes place in January, the temperatures are usually very nice leading up to that, and then normally right around the time that the Open comes on, you get temperatures high 90s, 100, 105, that type of thing. So that whole area over to your right hand side, that's all part of their sporting precinct.